season in Sun Devil country at tradition-rich Camp Tontazona. You'll meet the impact players from this year's team. Plus, you'll get a glance at some talented newcomers. We're giving free haircuts.
So after a couple tries, I was all right.
And singing the blues.
To practice a day, only the strong will survive. If the coaches don't get you, the boss will eat you alive. We got the Tontazona blues, the Tontazona football blues.
You'll meet the strange and unusual. We're bound to make a big splash, so don't go scurrying off into the woods. You can dance and you can laugh. You can dance some more, but don't touch that dial. There could be an action-packed show at the end of this rainbow.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Camp Tontazona 93. I'm Tim Healy, along with second-year ASU head coach Bruce Snider. And for the next half hour, we're going to be talking Sun Devil football, as the Devils once again have come to their beautiful mountaintop retreat northeast of Payson, Arizona, to begin training for the upcoming 1993 season. This has got to be a great time of year, Bruce, for you and your coaching staff to get back in the trenches talking football once again.
Well, Tim, we feel a lot more comfortable this year, certainly, and Tontazona has great tradition. And we enjoy being back here. We have about 35 new players. This is their first time, so it's a little bit of a shock to them, but it's a terrific place.
You talked about the comfort zone. I think that's interesting because last year, not only for the players, but for you and many of your staff members, had to be kind of a feeling out process.
It was, one, getting to know the players better. That's one. But just figuring out where, which trails the bears use at night, so you can avoid the bears and the animals, just the stuff. It was a little bit different for us, but now certainly we feel very good about it. We like our teaching stations and the practice fields. It's a great place to teach football.
So many of your hopes for this season rest on the condition of the knees of two of your outstanding running backs, Mario Bates and George Montgomery. How have they looked so far in camp?
Oh, I think it's fine. We've taken on the approach, and we've actually taken their lead on this. They say, I don't have an injury. It's just denying or that they're over it, they've rehabilitated, they've been released by their physicians. So we're just saying that they're not injured, and they look very good to me right now.
Now, last year, I think yours was mainly, it turned out to be at least, a defensive-oriented football team. This year, it appears as though your offense may be asked to carry some of the load while a defense that has a lot of new parts comes together.
Well, if we're going to make the next step, I thought our team played very hard last year, and I was very proud of how tough we are and all of those things. But if we're going to win enough games to go to a bowl game, the offense needs to be more productive than a year ago. We need more points from our wide receivers, those kinds of things. And I think we have a chance this year to be a little more exciting in that area.
Now, to replace a lot of those who departed the program, Bruce Snider and his staff had to scour not only the high school ranks, but the junior college ranks as well. And the result, a very talented crop of newcomers joining the Sun Devil football program in 1993. Let's meet some of them right now. Heading up that list are a couple of former teammates from San Bernardino Valley Junior College. Number 7, cornerback Craig Newsom, was considered one of the top JC defensive backs in the entire country a year ago. So far in camp, Newsom has lived up to his big play reputation.
I'm smart at the corner. I'm fast. Basically, I can just cover, man to man.
Number 6, wide receiver Johnny Thomas, known as JT, has blazing speed and great hands, and hopes to fill the shoes of big play wide receiver Eric Gulliford.
Eric Gulliford was a great receiver. All receivers are great because they're in there taking the punishment. But I'm here, and I think that's a gift to me because I have that speed, and I can really take it out and turn up the notch.
The Sun Devils also signed John Livingston, another junior college wide receiver from California. Livingston chose ASU over Nebraska and should add depth to the receiving corps. To fill some holes on the defensive line, ASU picked up a couple of more JC transfers. Number 13, Ken Talanoa, and number 84, Brian Proby. Both have already been inserted into the starting lineup.
In the spring, I felt pressure, but now that I'm here and now that I know pretty much what's going on in the system, I feel pretty comfortable and don't feel as much don't feel as much pressure.
I like to compete. I like the competition. I don't know. I just take it one day at a time. See whatever happens this day, and then tomorrow's a new day.
To add some depth at the quarterback position, the Sun Devils went to the high school ranks. For number 16, Jake Plummer, a parade All-American out of Boise, Idaho, and number 15, Jason Verdugo from Canyon Del Oro High School in Tucson. One of these players will most likely redshirt, while the other will become Grady Benton's backup.
I really would say that he's probably my best friend on the team. You know, me and Jake are really tight. You know, once our meetings and everything's done, we do not talk football.
It'd be hard to sit out, but I mean, it'd be good for me too, because, you know, it'd be a way to get bigger and, you know, stronger and, you know, experience, you know, practice and learn all the offense.
Two other true freshmen could see playing time this fall. Wide receiver Jason McCorvey had surgery on his ankle this week, but could return to action in about 4 to 6 weeks. While Mike Martin, a running back out of Dallas, could be the sleeper of this year's freshman class. It is an unusually large group of junior college transfers who have joined the Sun Devil program this year, Bruce. You say it's one of your largest groups of JC recruits and maybe the largest in the country this year.
You know, and that's something we probably would not like to do every year. In fact, I know I wouldn't, but it was really a necessity this year. And the thing that I'm so pleased with is how good players they are. Traditionally, I think a junior college, if you recruit 3 junior college players, one won't be good enough. One will probably get homesick and leave, and the other one might, whatever happens to him. This group seems to be real solid, and most of them will end up either starting or certainly playing a great deal as this season unfolds. So I'm very pleased with that.
One thing you do not have in this camp that you did a year ago is a quarterback controversy, and that's got to be kind of a settling factor in this camp, don't you think?
You know, there certainly is an upside to it. I like having the quarterback position wired in and crystallized, and that's what it is. Grady Benton is our quarterback, and there's no question about that. The downside to our particular situation is that we're very inexperienced behind him. There just isn't. Right now, whoever plays next will be his first snap in Pac-10 football. So, but Grady's has a fine camp, and I think we're going to be okay there.
Okay, well, Bruce and I will be back a little later on in this show. Mike and Gil will take over in just a moment. And when we return to Camp TANTAZONA 93, backed by popular demand, another version of the TANTAZONA Blues, Mike and the Devils, when we return.
This News Channel 3 sports special, Camp TANTAZONA 93, is brought to you by Southwest Airlines, offering frequent flights and low everyday fares, which is why flying Southwest Airlines is just plain smart. And by your Arizona Dodge dealers, the new Dodge. We're changing everything.
After a long, hot practice, there's nothing like cooling off in the chilly spring water located right next to the practice facility. For some players, it's become an everyday occurrence, just another one of the benefits of training here in the high altitude at Camp TANTAZONA. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to our show. I'm Mike Chamberlain, and it's kind of become a tradition up here at Camp TANTAZONA. I gather some of the players around me, and we sing the blues. It's called the Camp TANTAZONA Blues. And we're going to run it for you right now, but early on, we want to warn you, remember, we are not professionals, so give us a break. Here in TANTAZONA, ASU 93. Bugs the size of boulders, and they're staring right at me.
2 practices a day, only the strong will survive. If the coaches don't get you, the bugs will eat you alive.
I got the TANTAZONA Blues, the TANTAZONA football blues. We got the TANTAZONA Blues, the TANTAZONA football blues.
Ladies and gentlemen, Shante's Inferno, Shante Carver.
This ain't no Holiday Inn, you should see where we stay. Wall-to-wall bunk beds, I just want to play.
Oh, the weather's so nice. If you're a fan, 20 pounds of equipment, you gotta be kidding me, man.
We got the TANTAZONA Blues, the TANTAZONA football blues. We got the TANTAZONA Blues, the TANTAZONA football blues.
Senator Toby Mills going to drive it on home. Toby.
4 years was enough. We've been through hell. Ain't gonna miss TANTAZONA that much I can tell.
We got the TANTAZONA Blues, the TANTAZONA football blues. We got the Tontazona blues, the Tontazona football blues. Thanks to all the guys who are helping us with the Tontazona Blues 1993. Shante, Carver, Toby Mills, Lenny McGill, the Boyds, Gene, and Larry. Gene was the guy that didn't do a lot of singing, but did a lot of this for us. Thanks, Gene, for helping us out. Now I'm the guy that gives you the plays of the day every weeknight at 10 o'clock. We've been in camp now for 10 days, and we put together the odds and the ends of Camp 93. Check out some of the characters that we ran into this year. Just like Bruce Snider's philosophy, we're going to take it one at a time. The tallest, it's a tie between number 74, Juan Roque, and number 94, Brent Bernstein. Both stand at 6'8". The smallest, a three-way tie, number 34, Reggie Riley, number 7, Brad Belanger, and number 18, Matt Westmore. They're all listed at 5'8". The heaviest, Farrington Taco Tagai. He tips the scale at 350 pounds. Lightest, wide receiver John Livingston. He checked in at 165 pounds. The strongest, senior center Toby Mills. He bench pressed 455 pounds during a conditioning test. The fastest, number 24, Mario Bates, and number 6, J.T. Thomas. Both can run the 40 in 4.4. Toughest, Larry Boyd, number 8. His teammates call him Mr. Mean. Enough said. Underrated, that title goes to junior Kendall Ryan, who plays the gunner position. He's a diamond in the rough. The bounciest would be senior linebacker Jason Kyle, who shares the school record with a vertical leap of 39 inches. Funniest, assistant coach Dick Arbuckle, who once again donned the chicken mask to teach the players that covering a punt was like shoeing a chicken in the barnyard. The bonus award goes to Coach Dan Cazzetto, who blindfolded his offensive linemen to help their pass blocking. The jolliest, Pat Thompson. He's got a face and a demeanor that all mothers would love. And finally, the sneakiest, Taco Tagai, made a daily appearance at the Natural Springs to wreak havoc on his teammates. Well, that's going to do it for my portion of the show up here at Camp Tontazona, but fear not, I'll be joining Tim Healy, Jeff Van Raphorst, and Gil Tyree on the ASU broadcast. My job to find all that weird, wild, and wacky stuff on all the players involved. Don't go away, though. When we come back, Gil Tyree will introduce you to the unofficial barber of this football team. We'll take care of that business right after this.
It's more than just football players here at Camp Tontazona. A very large support staff is also on hand to make sure things run smoothly. From managers to trainers, conditioning and weight training staff, to the video crew that tapes every practice, about 40 behind-the-scenes people spend each day taking care of things for the ASU football program. Welcome back to Camp Tontazona 93. I'm Gil Tyree. The way people wear their hair has become a fashion statement in the 1990s. This season, the ASU defensive backs have decided to make a statement by going with the bald look. And believe it or not, it's catching on.
The day before we went to camp, I cut about 11 people's hair at my house. And so it was a tough chore. I was cutting hair basically all day.
We trust him. I got too many dents in my head to go bald.
I don't think my mother would recognize me with a bald head.
George Montgomery, he was kind of iffy about if he wanted to get the bald cut before camp. So he sat down and I just...
At first I was, but then after all the comments and everything I got out here, I think, it adds an extra little attention to myself. I'm going to have to go for it.
That's not for me. I go for a little prettier look, so that's not part of my plan.
Because they won't come over for a cut because they know how Gene cuts.
Hey, on the real, I didn't do that on purpose at all.
Well, I like my hair.
They have to get me while I'm sleeping, and they better use duct tape.
Not surprisingly, Gene gives all those haircuts for free. Gene, I say to you, no thank you. I like my fade look. ASU goes into the season without a punter or a kicker. In fact, the 4 players vying for the positions have never played a down at ASU. That puts head coach Bruce Snider and his staff in a very precarious situation. But the guys vying for those positions do not feel the pressure one bit. John Baker, Lance Anderson, and Noel Prefontaine and Marcus Williams are all vying for 2 starting jobs. And regardless of the outcome, the foursome say they'll remain close friends and support the coach's decision.
You know, you don't want to give anybody a leg up, but the more you get into it, pretty much all you want is for the team to win. And whoever's kicking the best at the time, you got to help them.
John Baker is the frontrunner to earn the starting job as the place kicker, but has received a challenge from true freshman Marcus Williams, who played at McClintock High in Tempe.
When they gave me my scholarship, they told me, you know, everything's wide open, and we'll see in Tontazona who the man is. And right now, everything's still open. You know, everything's just wide open for every position.
The punting job has boiled down to a battle between Noel Prefontaine, a transfer from Cal State Fullerton, and redshirt freshman Lance Anderson. Both have had trouble with their consistency.
There's one set, rhythm that you're accustomed to, and there's so many different steps, and if you deviate at all from one of those, then the whole kick's, altered, and you have to adjust to that.
To me, it's like inner battle. I'm battling with myself out there. I'm going to do the best I can, and, the same with Lance and the other kickers. They're going to do the best they can. I'm not battling Lance. I'm battling myself.
It'll be interesting to see how these guys handle the pressure. After all, the kicking game could decide several games this season. That'll wrap up my portion of the show. I'll be roaming the sidelines this fall on TV3's coverage of ASU football. But stick around, folks, because Coach Snider and Tim will be right back with more thoughts about the upcoming season, and you'll hear from more players, including All-American defensive end SHANTE CARVER. Stay right there.
Camp Tontazona 93 is brought to you by Jack in the Box Restaurants. There's always something new. And by Bank One, whatever it takes.
No question that Camp Tontazona is one of the most picturesque preseason training facilities in all of college football. Cool weather and beautiful surroundings prove to be a perfect setting to concentrate on one thing and one thing alone: football. Welcome back to Camp Tontazona 93. I'm Tim Healy, joined again by head coach Bruce Snider. And indeed, Coach, nothing but football for 10 days for the players and for the coaches alike.
Right, and coaches, we kind of grow up with it, or at least in our professional life. But some of the kids really go into kind of a tank, particularly the freshmen, sophomore kids. They just don't quite understand that it can be this intense. But the veterans are showing the way, and it's a great place to try to bring the team together, which is the whole purpose.
Now, obviously, when a Pac-10 team has it all together, they end up in Pasadena on New Year's Day. I know that has to be the prime goal you have going into this season. How do you feel realistically about your chances in the
Well, you're right about each year. We're going to start out each season with that as the idea. Might as well shoot for it if there's no use being cautious, in my opinion. In terms of this particular team, we do have to be lucky. We have to have a great camp. I think so much is going to happen in the next days that we're here that will set us on a course whether we're going to win it or at least make a run at it. We have, I think, on one deep, enough talent to be in the top 1, 2, 3 spots in our conference. Below that is the question. I think it's going to be a great year for college football in the Pac-10.
I know that many of the magazines have tabbed you as a team to watch in '93.
Well, I don't know what that means. I think we're going to be exciting. I think we're faster at the wideout positions. We have a veteran quarterback, certainly Mario and George, Mario Bates and George Montgomery. We have some real fine defensive players. SHANTE CARVER. I mean, if you love defensive play and like to see a quarterback sacked, you ought to watch number 98. So I think we are a team to watch from that standpoint, certainly.
No question the Sun Devils do have a lot of talent on this football team, talent that Coach Snider and his staff hopes can take Arizona State to its first bowl game since 1987. Defensive end SHANTE CARVER is on every preseason All-American team in 1993. Carver enters his final season at Arizona State as the school's all-time sack leader. The 6'5" Carver has silenced the critics who once said he was too small to play defensive end.
I guess I'm not the prototype defensive end. I guess that's what they're saying, but the most important thing is if
you play football, and that's all my coaches ask of me, and that's all I want to do.
Joining SHANTE on the defensive line this season is senior Larry Boyd, who finally gets his chance to play after beginning his career as a running back. Junior Justin Dragoo returns to anchor the linebacking core in 1993 after suffering a season-ending knee injury last October. Dragoo believes the Devils' defense can return to last season's top 10 form.
This camp, it looks like they're picking it up very well, and so we should be right back to where we were last year as one of the top defenses in the country. Is that if everybody gels together like they did last year, we certainly have the athletes to do it.
Sophomore Sam Santana will start at the other linebacker position. Santana was ASU's top freshman player a year ago and is a fearless defender. Senior cornerback Lenny McGill led the Devils in interceptions last season and seems to have improved with each game of his Sun Devil career.
It's just a matter of confidence, a matter of the coaches having faith in your abilities and just putting you out there and believing that you can do the job. And I think that's happened to me every game. I believe that.
In addition, Rovers Gene Boyd and Mark Brown and gunner Kendall Ryan return to give the Devils plenty of big game experience in the defensive backfield, while junior Eddie Cade, a native of Eloy, Arizona, becomes the starting free safety. The Devils' hopes for success on offense this year depend on the health of running backs Mario Bates and George Montgomery. Both missed most of last season with knee injuries. Bates could become one of the top running backs in the nation if last season's 3-game performance was any indication of his talents.
Everyone needs to put a big part in the whole offense. It's just not me and George. It's the offensive line, quarterbacks, all the way to the wide receivers, also to the coaches.
George Montgomery hopes his senior season with the Devils makes up for 3 injury-riddled campaigns he's had to endure at ASU.
Is this finally going to be the year for George Montgomery?
I think it is. It's good. In fact, I know it is. I mean, we've got 12 games this season, which I'm going to make, and I'm going to lead this team.
Grady Benton returns as the starting quarterback in 1993, coming off a freshman season in which he set the NCAA record for passing accuracy by a freshman quarterback.
I always knew coming in high school that I could play. It was just a chance I needed. I finally got the chance and then blew it, and then finally I got the chance again. I just had to take advantage of it.
Benton will have plenty of targets to choose from. Junior wideout Clyde McCoy returns, while Carlos Artis and former quarterback turned slotback Troy Rauer will also see plenty of action. Sophomore Steve Bush will start at tight end in place of the injured Brian Ryder. Senior Toby Mills anchors a veteran offensive line. Mills has been a starter since midway through his true freshman season and is rated as the 4th best center in the nation.
The most satisfying thing would be a good bowl game, a really high-ranking national championship. That stuff right there would be more satisfying than the individual stuff.
Juniors Jeff Kaiser and Demario Vaughn give the Sun Devils a pair of mammoth tackles, while Taco Tagai, Chuck Underwood, and redshirt freshman Pat Thompson compete for the 2 starting guard positions. The Sun Devils haven't had this much experience on the offensive line since perhaps the Rose Bowl year of 1986.
The experience we've got is just incredible, and the offense is it's not real basic, but it's easy to understand, and we're a little bit more crisp this year, and things are getting off to a really good start on the offensive line.
Now, as for the Sun Devils schedule, the season opener September 4th against the University of Utah. On paper, Bruce, the first 6 games are games that your team can win, but your schedule sets up difficult in the last 5. You got some of the big powers in the league, Stanford, Arizona, and Washington.
Well, I like our schedule. I think it's going to be challenging. Utah was in a bowl game last year and very easily could have beaten Washington State, and a very good Washington State team in the Copper Bowl. So that's going to be, I think, a real fun game for people to watch their wide open offense. Louisville. But you're right. I think it's the November games, it's the late October, November games. And as the old saying, it's what you do in November, it's what they remember. I think it's important that we finish strong. Hopefully by then some of the JC players will have really solidified positions, and their talents will be coming really out at that point. So it's going to be a challenge all the way through. I think we've got a chance to have a real good season, but we need to be lucky.
How do you see the rest of the Pac-10 teams to watch this year?
I believe this is one of the more difficult years to handicap Pac-10 because of the parity, if you will. From Washington, who is or Arizona. Those are the two teams that are right now being picked as number one. But the difference between those two clubs and the 5th, 6th, 7th team being picked, I don't see a great deal of difference. The scheduling will be important when your bye weeks fall in, who's injured at what time. I think we're going to see some upsets. We'll see some last-minute heroics. We're going to see some great, great college football in the Pac-10. And I don't think we'll know who the winner will be of the conference until middle of November.
Perhaps November 26th, ASU, U of A, Sun Devil Stadium, be there. It should be a great season of Devil football, and it all begins on Saturday, September 4th, when the Sun Devils play the University of Utah at Sun Devil Stadium. Join us throughout the season on the Bruce Snider Show here on TV3, and for most of the ASU game telecasts as well. Till next time, for Coach Snider, for Mike Chamberlain, and for Gil Tyree, I'm Tim Healy. Thanks for watching, and so long for now, everyone.